Hey guys, it's Natasha, right? Welcome back to my channel. If you are struggling with a bad boss, then this video is for you. We're going to talk about how we can possibly fix or not fix it. Stick and stay. So, a lot of us, we gotta go to work. We don't have the best relationship possible with our manager, supervisor, whatever the case is, CEO, whoever your direct report is. Sometimes it's pretty tough. Personalities clash. We don't understand each other. It happens. It happens. That's just how life is. People are different, and sometimes the personalities can get in the way of getting the work done. So today we're going to explore how you can deal with your bad boss. And by no means am I saying that this person is horrible, although you do have people like that out there, but I'm just saying you just find it hard to see eye to eye with this individual. It's hard to work in the environment and just to be productive because of different things. For example, you have some managers who are highly technical. They like to micromanage. They like to ensure that everything is set up correctly, but it gets on your nerves. Or how about that manager who likes to play the blame game? So everything is your fault. Right, so you have managers who like to play the blame game. So guess what? Everything is your fault. And when something actually works out and it's going well, they don't give you any credit. Now that's actually horrible in my book of leadership, I must tell you. However, there are ways to work around it. What I must tell you though is as you go through this video, I am in no way, shape, or form telling you that if you are in a very toxic situation, if you find that your health is at risk, if you find that psychologically you just cannot cope, I'm not encouraging you to stay. I'm not encouraging you to put a band-aid over a wound that possibly needs surgery. However, if there are actually things that can be worked on, we want to talk about those today. All right, so the first thing, guys, is that when it comes to having a bad boss, right, you know you don't work well with this person. You know there are constant issues and, you know, little chit chats, quarrel, all these different things. The first thing, my book, can you imagine my book is all the way around here? God, forgive me. You need to have frank and open conversations. So if it's getting a little bit too much for you, if the micromanaging is just a little bit too, it's making you gasp for breath, you're suffocating, then you may want to call a meeting and say to your manager, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, I really appreciate you following up and checking on this project. However, given that you've given me a guideline, let's put in some weekly follow-ups. At that time, I will provide updates so we can both go through. So there's no need for you to ask me every single day. But I must tell you, a big part of conveying this message has to do with being tactful and diplomatic. I find that you have a lot of people who don't understand that tact and diplomacy can actually change a very terrible situation and make it so much easier to go through if you have the right words, if you say the right things, if you actually think about how the person will feel when you say it, right? And so you want to be careful of how you say things. My mom would always say, it's not what you say, it's how you say things. And so you want to be respectful. And so you say, you know what? Let's put in some dates for our follow-ups. We'll sit together, we'll go through, we'll review what's done. I'll provide you with the update so that you don't have to be, pausing what you're doing to check on me. I'll give you the updates at these specific times. Guys, having those frank conversations can actually save you so much energy. It's okay to say to your boss, for the past few days, I know you've been under a lot of stress, right? So that's what you're gonna use to calm the situation down. I know you've been under a lot of stress. The team itself has been doing a lot to meet our deadlines and our goals and so on. So I do understand how you must be feeling. However, I'm asking kindly if you could just, tone down a little bit, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying, find a way to say it nicely, to say, listen, I'm uncomfortable. Could we adjust? Could we shift a little bit so that our working environment can be peaceful, there can be joy, and we can actually be effective? That's what you want, but you have to do it with tact and diplomacy. Now, you have people in the 21st century, because everybody is all about speaking their truth. I'm not one that's going to tell you not to speak your truth. I just wanted to speak your truth respectfully. That's all I ask. But you also have people who will say, oh, I gotta keep it real. Well, to me, keeping it real most times means keeping it broke, because you can't go off. I'm an entrepreneur. I can't go off cussing off my clients. I can't go off cussing off my business partners. I mean, it makes no sense. And so you have to know how to speak to people. Not every single thing that comes to mind should be said. Think twice before you say these things, because they have implications. There are going to be consequences. Oh my gosh, my hair. There is going to be consequences for the things that you say. All right. And sometimes the consequences, they last for a very long time. So I'm telling you to be careful. You can't say you were not warned. But having those conversations right up front, oh my gosh, it does a world of good, because the boss cannot say she didn't say it, she expressed it, right? Don't go doing emails. Have a face-to-face conversation if possible. Have a telephone conversation if possible. It's so good when you have that nice human touch on things, when you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, how are you? Instead of just typing, because it's very easy for these kinds of communications to be misconstrued. It's very easy for them to be misinterpreted. And so having a face-to-face conversation, phone call if possible, it takes the edge off. Core values are extremely important. If you find that your bad boss is just totally off par with what you believe in and so on, you can let them know. Say, hey, listen, I can do that. That's not one of my beliefs, and I'm very high on my core values, so I can't do that. Well, you need to also ensure that you are consistent every single time. So for example, you're an assistant, your boss gets a call, he doesn't want to take the call, he says, tell them I'm not here, and you're like, listen, I can't do that. You need to ensure that you maintain your integrity throughout your whole stay, throughout everything that you do, because you have mentioned, this is my core value, and nothing is wrong with that. So as the assistant, you pick the phone up and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I know you're calling for Mr. James, but he's currently unavailable at the moment. I'd like to take a message and he'll give you a call back as soon as he can. And that ends that. Stick to your core values, especially when dealing with a bad boss. The next thing I'd like to ask you is, how are you making it worse? Yeah, sometimes you make it worse. Why? Well, a lot of us are overthinkers. If you are a warrior like moi, sometimes some very small things become big things, because we over process, We run that same situations through our minds 100 million times. We don't sleep, we don't eat, we talk about it with our spouse all the time, when it's really not such a big thing to the other person. And so what I'm saying to you is that instead of focusing on that one negative comment or focusing on that thing that a person said that they may not even remember because their mind was in a total different place, I think you should just focus on what you need to be doing on the job. So, case in point, let's say that I went to work today, my manager said something really awful, and I was offended. And so I went home and I complained to my husband, and I kicked the cat, or I did something that's really mean. I'm definitely gonna be taking out that piece about kicking the cat. So you you get mad at everybody, and you're just having just a horrible evening. Everything goes downhill. Now you don't sleep, you get up the next morning, you go into office. Even if your manager is having a bright day and they walk past you and they say, "Hey, good morning," I'm gonna be like, whatever. Because that situation has been replaying in my head over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It causes, you to be in a very bitter state. And so I ask you, what is your mental health like in terms of how are you feeling emotionally? What's going on right now? Are you emotionally intelligent? Are you mature enough to say, okay, this situation can be handled with a small conversation? I could actually invite my boss for lunch today, and I could just say, hey, you made a comment yesterday and I was kind of offended. Why did you say that? Did I do something to make you feel that way? Those things, oh my gosh, you have to be mature. So instead of having it prolonged and then it causes this huge rift in the department, and then your attitude comes off on other people, other colleagues, and all these different things, just deal with it. Learn emotional intelligence. Learn to focus on what is really important. No, I'm not saying that your emotions are not relevant, but I'm actually telling you that feelings are facts. So today you will get up feeling upset, but it doesn't mean that tomorrow you're gonna be. And if we really are to follow our feelings, we're gonna be doomed, because our feelings come and they go. So I'm saying to you, be emotionally intelligent. Sit, evaluate the situation. Call a friend who has sense, common sense, to say, yeah, you're kind of overreacting. Yeah, just have a conversation and fix it. Yeah, it's not a big deal. You need a lot of those, right? So instead of, replaying that thing in your head, instead of jumping off the deep end, try to fix things. Try to, have that small talk or that conversation to help things work. And another thing under are you making it worse? Are you projecting your own insecurities on that person? I was actually reading a book about people pleasing by Joyce Myers, and she said that she had a staff who was, who faced rejection as a child. And so whenever she got to the point where she was not able to complete a task, she would completely avoid Joyce, who is her manager. And, it made her, the manager, feel as though she was being rejected. So right then and there, everybody's own childhood trauma is magnified, and the situation is just made worse by something that can be handled with one conversation. Don't do that. I don't want you to live like that. And so I'm saying, fix it if you can fix it ASAP. All right? But don't replay the things over and over in your head. Another cool way to actually deal with a bad boss, or someone I would say lacks proper leadership, is to ask for regular feedback. So let's say that you have your performance assessment done every 6 months. So you'll do it twice annually. Don't wait until the 6 month is approaching before you find out what does your boss think of you. You're gonna get bits and pieces along the way. You'll hear certain comments, but the onus is really on you to ask for feedback. Go to the manager if you find that they may be disgruntled. If you find that they keep bringing up the same thing over and over again, it's up to you to go to them to say, hey, how am I performing on this thing? What do you think? Did I handle this meeting well? What do you think are my weak areas? I know that I need to strengthen this, that, and the other, but do you think I'm that good on editing? That's a question for my audience. You guys can answer that. And when you get your regular feedback, it allows for communication to, keep going. I think it makes a whole lot of difference. And let's be real, sometimes you say you have some bad bosses, but the bad bosses actually are onto something. There may be a thing or two that you're not doing right that gets on their nerves, or they're tired of talking about it. And so you say that they're a bad boss when really they're probably just annoyed, right? Or they're perfectionists and all these different things. So if you know there are things that you need to tweak them quick. Fix them, right? But make sure that you do what you possibly can before you walk away. All right, guys, this is pretty much what I call the sip tea session, except I'm drinking coffee today. So this is the sip coffee session of my video, right? So here's the thing. I mentioned earlier in the video that this cannot be a band-aid for a wound that requires surgery. If you really feel like you are at your wit's end, if you feel like you've tried everything you possibly could to make the relationship between your bad boss and yourself work, and there's nothing more that you can do, if the environment is not for you, then it may be time for you to move on, especially in cases where you just don't feel valued. I think that is something that every single human being is looking for right now, or is always looking for. You don't want to be pouring into an organization, into a company that does not see your worth or won't ever see your worth, and it is crippling you. It is affecting your self-esteem. You are not able to function. Then it may be time to walk away. But of course, you have to ensure that you do some work on your part to fix what you can, if it can be fixed, before you make that decision. But guys, always remember, your mental health, your emotional well-being is critical to being efficient and effective as a professional. And so if you don't have those key elements, you won't be at your best state. You won't be able to give your best. And so I'm saying to you, sometimes the fix for the situation is to actually move on. I'm sorry, right? But but also remember that before you can actually be celebrated, sometimes you have to work in seasons of what my husband would call I'm gonna give you that word very soon, in seasons of isolation, in seasons where you feel as though nobody sees you, nobody sees what you give or what you bring to the table. But then your celebration season will come if you continue to be consistent with your work. At some point it is going to be seen, right? So I say, if you feel like you've done all you can and nothing is working, then maybe it's time to go. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I hope you like this video about dealing with your bad boss. But just know, I'm not saying any person is bad. I'm just saying that they have poor leadership skills. And you do have great people who have poor leadership skills, because we all can actually develop in one way or another. All I'm saying is, there are workarounds, there are ways to deal with it. Just ensure that you do it in the right manner. See you soon. If this video helps you, like, subscribe, holla at your girl. Blessings.